This is Rowena Dooley asking Skull citizens to report for duty. Asking Soul citizens to report for duty.
Greetings. Welcome back to Soul Voices. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back. Today is Saturday, October the 5th, and I got to brighten myself up because this room is really dark that I'm in. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm happy to be back. Took a little break last week. Thank you again for those of you who sent all the wonderful birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. Thank you for thinking of me, and it was a great weekend to just kind of chill and hang out and be with those you love and all that good stuff. And but of course, we're back this week, and again, I hope you guys are doing okay. This week, boy, so much has been going on. It's kind of interesting. It seems like the last couple times I've come in, there's been stuff going on with Star Citizen. Patches drop, it seems like, within 24 hours of my show. So it's always a great time because it means there's some cool things for us to check into. Sometimes we don't have time to get into it. I did download the patch last night, but I did not jump in yet, and so I have not had a chance to sample all of the goodness and frustration that everyone else is dealing with. Let's see. Other than that, today, let's talk about what today's show is. Well, first of all, let me tell you what today's show is about. Soul Voices. Soul Voices is our one-on-one conversation where you get to come in with me and give me feedback on the topics that I picked from Spectrum or Reddit or the Star Citizen community, or any other topics that I think are kind of in line with what's going on in the world. So be sure to, if you see the link pop up, to come into the Discord. You can come in, you'll get in the queue, and you can share your thoughts. And we're always open to hear from our community. Our two shows, our Thursday show and our Saturday show, are really designed to give the community a voice. Sunday, you get to listen to us, but on this show and our Thursday show with Fastcart, it's your opportunity to kind of give your feelings. And as you can see from the title, this week, I thought I'd find a great title for us this week. The Joy of Nerfing. Is there such a thing? Will we find any joy in nerfing? We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show. So for those of you who love that word or despise it, it will be a conversation for us to have a little later. So let's go ahead and jump into our very first topic, which is... no, that's not the first topic. That's the last topic. Our first topic for this week. So this was from Spectrum, and it was put in by Kaydin, and there wasn't a lot of words with this one. There was just some images to, I think the images, as they say, a photograph speaks for itself. And so I'm curious to see how you guys feel about the images that are presented here. But the statement was what we thought we would have after 12 years, and boom, you've got this wonderful piece of unique architecture. You know what? I should have looked up to see where this was. It's probably someplace in Europe. They're much more innovative when it comes to some architecture than we are over here, and especially for something like that. That looks like that's probably some type of apartments, something like that, residential. Doesn't look like it's necessarily business. I guess it could be business, but it looks more architectural. But anyway, Kaydin says, we thought we would have something like this after 12 years, but instead, Kaydin says, we ended up with something like that. So, yeah, I want to know, how do you feel? Do you feel that that is the case? Do you feel that we are working toward the first picture, but the second one is what we have? Or do you think that they're not even working toward the second picture? You just don't see it somewhere down the line? Do you just see the second picture only? Or do you think the second picture is an over exaggeration? Yeah, come in, give me your thoughts. Tell me what you guys think about this one after 12 years. And, this is kind of an interesting thing because, there are some people who would say we should definitely be much further along than we are, right? Much, much further. Things should be in a better place, in a better space than they are. Then there are other people who will say, well, there are certain circumstances that maybe under any other circumstance that would probably be right, but there are some other things, mitigating things that have taken place that we have to take into consideration. So, the question becomes based upon your experience with other games, with Star Citizen, for those of you who've been in here, maybe some of you who've only been in here for a fairly short amount of time. And so maybe your picture of Star Citizen is that one that's on the left side. And there are those of you who may have been in here for the full journey, and you might be feeling like, yeah, the one on the right is probably how I'm feeling right now about the development of this game. So yeah, so yes, come in, click. I should be a click. I don't know if the click came in or not. Fast card, if the link came in. Anybody wants to come in and share their thoughts on this one? This is the first time that I have done an intro for this show and no one has come into the queue. So that means that people are either scared of this topic or they're still thinking about it, or they're not interested in it. I don't know. But I'm going to see if somebody is daring who wants to come into the queue and give me their thoughts about this after 12 years. Now, I know some of you guys have not been here for 12 years. I know that. Some of you have not been here since 2012. But if you've been in here any length of time, feel free, come in and give me your thoughts on this one. Do you think we're the picture on the left, the picture on the right, somewhere in the middle, whatever the case may be? All right, let's see who we have. We have Pops. Okay, Pops in Space is here. Let's bring Pops in Space in. Hey, Pops, how are you?
Can you hear me, Greg?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry, Pops. Can you hear me now? Oh, whoops, hold on. Can you hear me now, Pops?
Oh, this is J-Boo
wrong
now.
room. I'm in the wrong room. Okay, hold on. All right, Pops, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, all right, I'm back.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at and I'm going to kind of touch on Disco Lando, this is game development. If you're looking at game development strictly only in the process of features that we're working, not necessarily that they are working on, but not that they are working in the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. So I would say you have the picture on the left. If you're looking at, we've got the game features. We're able to fly down the planets without loading screens. Things that they're working on as far as server meshing. They've got, supposedly have better pipelines on working ships. And if you're looking at it as far as we have technology that they're working on, then I would have to say the left hand side. But as far as the right hand side, as far as them working, playing, then you've got the right hand side most definitely.
Okay.
As far as being able to go in a game, looking at the commercials that they have out there, and if the commercials look great and you jump in the game, you definitely got the right hand side.
Okay.
So it just depends on how you're looking at it.
Okay. And how do you look at it? If you had to say where you landed in here, do you lean more toward one or the other, somewhere in the middle? Where do you find yourself on this one?
Being experienced with the whole project, I am in 60% on the left.
Okay.
And only because I know how the project works, I know how the development works now. I've
Okay.
been around for a while. My expectations are always, yeah, we've got, new ships, we've got this and then the other, but do they work properly? And I'm always kind of leaning on that 40% on that side on the right. That, my expectations that I'm gonna go in, I know it's gonna freeze, lock, crash, so I'm expecting that. So
Okay. That's fair enough. All right, Pops. I appreciate that. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay. All right. Let me bring in Jay Voodoo Child. We haven't heard from Jay in a little while. It's good to see him. Hey, Jay, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good. I'm doing good, bro.
So it may be October, but I ain't scared. I'll come into the room and talk about it.
I appreciate that.
So, I kind of have this mindset of it's going to take as long as it's going to take.
Okay.
We've given over our money to make it happen. I think it's going to happen. How long it takes and what the finished product is, nobody knows. But I think it's far easier for people to sit back and say, be a backseat developer or game designer and say, this is taking too long. If you think so, then go out, raise money yourself, do the thing, do it on your schedule, your expectations. Okay. This is Chris Roberts' game. This is Chris Roberts' expectations. This is Chris Roberts' timeline. He made it very clear up front. I don't want to deal with developers and their deadlines and their budgets and all that sort of thing. This is the end result.
Do you think, though, that there is a certain expectation from a consumer side, right, of what they may feel is reasonable? Do you think that those parameters for reasonableness, can be applied? Do you think they have to be reconsidered? Do you think they need to be given some type of waiver? Because people pay for something. Like if I paid for something, whatever it is, right? If I say I ordered a pizza, right? And if the pizza said, they say, pizza's going to be here, on the average, I'm used to a pizza arriving in 35 to 40 minutes. Let's say 45 minutes to an hour. But then all of a sudden 2 hours is going by, right? And the pizza hasn't, showed up, right? I mean, I actually had this happen a couple of years ago, right? It was a crazy thing, but the pizza didn't show up till 2.5 hours later. What's the reasonableness of that? Is it like, hey, I need a refund because, I should have had this pizza an hour ago. But mind you, the reason why my pizza came 2.5 hours that day was because there was a snowstorm. So,
right.
Where's the room in that, right? What do you think?
So I think there is expectations, whether they're reasonable or not, based on other game experiences.
Okay.
But for me, the problem in the kind of expectations game is that this is a crowd-funded project. The money has been spent up front. And I think a lot of people mistake that they feel that they are investors and that they need to have a certain regular return on their investment within their time. Every quarter they're getting something that they feel is adequate and meaningful for their investment. That's not what crowdfunding is. And so expectations on, a game is complete, you're going to go spend X amount of dollars for it. You can do microtransactions or subscriptions and pay additional money, but you have a finished product. So therefore the kind of perspective you get with Star Citizen is completely different than most other projects. Okay. And I think that kind of gets people into trouble. There's, to me, unreasonable expectations driven from that fact.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that opinion. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Good to hear from Jay. Let's bring in Kaydin. Kaydin was in next. Hey, Kai.
What's up, brother?
How are you?
Oh, fantastic.
Good.
How are you doing?
Okay.
So I think that everyone that is super pissed at CIG for blowing the dates and being super, super late has every right to feel their feels. They're 100% right. CIG did. I think everyone that is a super fan and is excusing CIG's failure to provide products in a timely manner because CIG is doing something brilliant and crazy, impossible, and next level, and world changing is absolutely right. They are doing all of that. Everyone who's like me, who's kind of like meh over the whole thing and is just like, whatever, you do you. I'm not angry. I'm not making excuses. I'm just playing other shit, and it'll be what it'll be when it is what it is. They're right. Customers who give money have a right to have their feels, period. And there's no wrong answer here. The main thing is people need to stop telling everyone else that you're wrong in what you feel. Like, nah, screw that. Fuck you. I feel what I feel. I got the right to it. You feel what you feel. It's all good. And that's the main thing. People need to have compassion for the fact that not everyone sees things through your lens. Not everyone is living your life. Not everyone is in your shoes, and it is what it is. I'll talk to you later. I'm out. Hashtag Pyro 2028. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Next up, I want to say it's. Let me see who came in next. You guys have to forgive me because I lost count here, but I'm going to go with Vote Lessel next, I think, and then Fist, and then Admiral. Forgive me if I got the order out of order. Big V, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. And how are you?
I'm doing okay. Got any thoughts?
So about what we got. Well, the thing is, I'm coming in as like a newer person. Like this is my second time round for CitizenCon. So from the perspective of like a new person, it is like, okay, this is really cool. They've gotten a lot done. When you think back to it, it's like 12 years. Yeah, that is a long time. And I think they had a lot of instances where they could have done better and make sure that they actually got the stuff in on time. There is just a lot of instances where they could have done that. But I mean, it feels like now they're trying to not have that as much. They're like, okay, let's actually try and think about how we're going to do this. And like when it comes to like if you paid back in 2013, then yeah, I can understand why waiting for a game this long is really bad. And I think this is why like most other companies, like if you think back to it, like Rockstar with GTA 6, it's like if they left that, if you could pre-order GTA 6 back in 2013 when GTA 5 came out, then you'd be like, where's my game? And so I can totally understand where they're coming from, but if you look at it, you do have other games that essentially did have this issue. We just didn't pay for things. So I think it's just the fact that we've been seeing the open development of stuff. And I mean, they are trying to do a lot. There are definitely things that they need to optimize. Like this is not a complete product. So we could be like at another couple of years down the line until we actually get the 1.0 release, the full release of the game. So, I mean, there's that. And so I get where everybody is coming from, but as a new person, it's like, okay, they've done a lot within like the past year. Like the changes I've noticed. So I hope that they keep up and they can actually like speed up this process. I think with what they're doing with 24.2, working on the 4.0 code base is really smart. Because if they get a lot of the bugs worked out in 24, then it would be like a 4.01 build for the initial 4.0 build, which would be really nice to have. Because if you notice, like 24.1 was a lot more stable than the base 24 build. That's how it always is. It's just that they build up the code base. They're like, okay, we know what they're actually doing now. So yeah, well, that's my thoughts on it as somebody a little bit newer.
I appreciate that. A lot of times it's just old dinosaurs who are in here, so it's great to hear some fresh voices in. So thanks for coming in, B. I appreciate you. Good stuff. Good stuff. You know, interestingly enough, V just mentioned that. I'm going to bring Fist to Face in, but I'll share some information with you guys. I looked this up a little while ago, and I couldn't remember the exact time frames. But he mentioned about if people were to have bought GTA, pre-ordered GTA 6, they might feel a certain kind of way after this period of time. Fist to Face, how are you?
What's happening?
Do you know? I'm going to give you the pop quiz. Do you know when development started for GTA 6? Take a
I
guess.
think it was like 2012.
You know what? You win the Whoopi Prize. Actually, pre-production started in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
The development process began in 2014. So GTA 6 is currently how many years waiting?
Oh man, Dad, come on, bro. You put me on my.
No, I'm saying if it started in 2012, if it started in 2012,
right, yeah, started 2012, 12 years, yeah.
Oh,
much.
okay.
No,
Yes,
yeah, 12
exactly.
Years, yeah.
So
Yeah.
GTA 6 is how long again?
12 years.
12 years. The only difference is we didn't prepay for it, and we're not seeing the development, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I just want to mention that in passing. Now, I'm not justifying anything.
Wait a minute. I got one foot. Let me
And let me finish some other things.
Okay, go ahead.
It's from a studio that was established that had a hit game in front of it that made millions and millions of dollars. Correct?
Okay, let's one up you then, right?
Okay, go ahead.
How long? When did Starfield start?
Starfield, well, depends on which story Todd Howard tells you. Todd Howard said that he'd been dreaming about it for 25 years and the road to get there, but they didn't start. They didn't start till 2014. Okay, and it took them 7.5 years of direct hardline development was 7.5 years for Starfield. Yes.
Right.
So, don't get me wrong. That's a standard kind of time for a AAA standalone game. So it's not too bad. But again, to your point, established studio, lots of hit games beforehand, right? So some track record. They had their own engine, which of course is controversial when it comes to Starfield, but they had their own engine and stuff, right? But I was just mentioning that because Volt had mentioned about GTA, and I remembered that GTA started somewhere around when CIG started theirs. I just couldn't remember the exact date, but yes, scripts and pre-production started in 2012. Actual development started in 2014. Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry, I just wanted to use you for my little pop quiz. So go ahead.
I get you. So to answer the question, how do I see the pictures? Okay. I don't know the person's who came in before me. Vote. Made some very good points, but to really quick answer the question, I'm kind of like I'd probably say 55 on the building side with a nice little building side, and the rest on the other. I mean, but at the same, because like I said, I understand what it means, a little bit of what it means to develop something, because obviously, me and my dad, we jumped in an Unreal Engine to try to make our cinematics.
Right.
You understand that. For me, it was to try to be brief. It was like it was difficult because I'm jumping into Unreal Engine thinking I can do cinematics, but no, it is a game engine first. So I have to understand how the way it works as a game engine, and then be able to export out what I need for it to do as a cinematic.
Yeah.
So as to that point, I'm learning game engine things in Unreal. So I'm learning, I'm looking at blueprints, I'm looking at C++. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know I had to do all of this.
It's more than just software.
Go from all the way over here. You know what I mean? So it's a lot that takes into the place. So again, and I get it, everybody has their feelings about what something is, but at the what the point I wanted to make real quick is that what if we would have gotten the game back before they made that discovery that you could fly from space to planet?
We have Starfield.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's okay. I'm just saying, but that's
and
what,
that's
what it
cool,
was.
and that's cool, and I'm cool with and if we would have gotten that, but then it's kind of like again, kind of I try to say that like where would we be at? What would we be saying then? Right?
Yeah.
Would we be complaining again? Oh man, well that game, it's whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Or will we have moved on? I mean, and Star Citizen still even has some of the same concerns, right? Because how do you keep players in perpetuity, right? How do you keep them playing and wanting to play and keep coming back and keep coming back? It's one thing to develop a game and it's a one-hit wonder, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a one-hit wonder, but just put out a game, let people play it, and then they move on. But if you're trying to create something that's also going to tell people that they can continue to come back day after day, month after month, year after year, I think there's a different planning for what you want to shoot for, right? Because you and I both know there are people who will sit down on a single player game and they'll burn through it in 30, 40 hours and be done.
Be done. Yes,
2 days,
exactly.
2 days, 3 days of play and, $80 and they're on to the next thing. So I it takes a lot, I think, to be able to create something, a game like an Eve or a World of Warcraft, or even if it's those games that you just come away from for a little bit and come back to. You know what I mean? Like I've been playing Scum with Admiral Kusanagi. I've gotten back into it. But that's because I haven't played it in like 4 years, maybe 5 years. And so once they put all the content into it, it was a bit overwhelming, but I enjoy it now, and I can go to it and feel like, oh, this is something I can go to and just leisurely play whenever I feel like. I almost step into Scum the same way I step into Star Citizen. I just go in to get some objectives done for that day, and so whatever I get done that day, I get it done, and whatever I don't, because tomorrow is another day, is a new day. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hear you a lot. All right, buddy. Thank you much. Appreciate that. Hanging there with that Unreal, dude. I know it ain't no joke. All right. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Hey, Admiral.
Hey, Griff. How's it going today?
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
I meant to ask you, do you have that Scum paint pack for the vehicles?
Do I have the paint pack? Yeah, I have the paint pack.
Oh, you
yeah,
do?
definitely.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
How many scratch tickets do you think CIG had to scratch to be able to make Squadron 42? I mean, because they say they developed a game, and I don't know if that's one giant IOU, but I think they already paid for it. Am I right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
So
yeah.
And the problem is the community doesn't really see that.
Yeah.
And they're expecting the PU. They keep seeing it in the background. They get a trailer once every 2 years or whatever.
Yeah, you make a good point. You make a good point, Admiral. So do you think that because those two things are been running parallel, do you think that, and I'm making, guys, and this is hypothetical, I'm not predicting anything, but let's say Squadron's out within the year, very soon. Do you think that would shift the gears more to the left, that people would kind of feel like, oh, okay, well, this is done, but they'll still look to the right and still see that as the persistent universe?
No, again, a lot of people in the community now, like, they don't even know Squadron 42 was a thing until last year at CitizenCon.
Right.
And so they thought that the money they were investing was
going
being
solely
put
to the persistent
towards the PU.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case at all. I mean, at best, they were using, I would say, between 30 and 40% for the PU. And because you have to test the mechanics for the Squadron 42 to make sure they're working right, and it works right in the PU and so forth, because they're supposed to match up. But the fact of the matter is that it's hard when like you're putting money towards something for a future investment, but in reality that investment that you think you're kind of putting money towards is going to be off the sales of Squadron 42. And like we're promoting, we're getting a lot for the PU, they're working on the systems and stuff like that, and we are getting those mechanics, but all those mechanics had to be made for Squadron 42. So it's like, yeah, we're using the same quote unquote technology for gaming, we're inventing all this stuff, but they're inventing it primarily for the initial release of Squadron 42 and then the larger release of the PU. And because it's like so, say, convoluted and wishy-washy, there's a lot of like, where's my money actually going? And like, how is that getting replenished? And how is this getting, the idea is like Squadron 42 does very well, and then that money can go towards
further funding,
further development. And for those that don't, I like to double stomp this, is that we're getting two more movies. We're supposed to be getting two more versions of Squadron 42. It's supposed to be like Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. So those have to be funded as well. The question is, do they already have them done? What are we waiting for release for those? So it's kind of like a big things and up in the air for those items.
Okay.
But for the PU, I mean, I think for where they are, I think we have a lot of stuff, considering that their primary push right now, their primary push is to get Squadron 42 up the door, to get these actors to show up, hopefully in less than 2 weeks. I hope you guys are all surprised and like, oh my God, I didn't think Henry Cavill's, but that's where I think we are in terms of where we are after 12 years or so, is to get a game. It's like they're literally kind of, splitting up money to make two different games, and that's the difficult thing. You don't have a major studio saying, hey, we're making, Star Wars, what do I like, the Fallen Order or Survivor, and also making this other thing, and that's going to be an MMO too, but that money goes over here instead, and it's just wishy-washy. But it's hopefully we'll know a lot more in 2 weeks. I'll just stop there. I'm just
fair enough, no problem. All right, Admiral, thank you, bro. All right, last but not least, the one and the only Fast Carts, FC.
Hey, how you doing, girl?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm all right. So yeah, some people brought us some points I wanted to say. Like typically, it's Squadron 42 is in parallel with Star Citizen. They're making two games, not one. It's a new company, and they had to redo the game engine for a few times. They started with CryEngine, and then they went to the Amazon one, Lumberyard, and now it's Star Engine. So yeah, they have some hurdles, and that's partly why it's taken 12 years. But as far as which picture you're talking about, it depends on what you're looking for in the game. Like some people who are just looking for combat, whether it's FPS or starship, spaceship combat, the game may look towards the left. If you're looking for economy, or you want more cargo stuff before the last patch, it may look closer to the right. So yeah, it depends on what you're looking for in the game, in my opinion.
Okay, I think that's more than fair. All right, thank you, brother.
No problem.
All righty. Okay, well, thank you guys. Thanks for chiming in on that. I see there was a lot of stuff going through the chat there. I was trying to read as much as I could, but thank you guys for helping us kick that one off. Yeah, it's interesting perspective. I think Fast Cart's right. There are some people who maybe their game mechanics that are in place right now, they feel fairly satisfied, and they won't say it's a complete catastrophe. They don't think it's necessarily the perfect building, but they feel like they can go in the game and do certain things. Other people who might be looking for other aspects of gameplay, maybe people who are looking for deeper medical, people looking for deeper bounty hunting, people who are looking for the black market stuff, people who are looking for exploration and science. They may feel, hey, the picture on the right? Okay, well, we got through that one. Thank you, guys. I'm going to move on to the second topic for today. This one was from Reddit. And it was, did they just fix the Connie Table, or did I miss the memo a while ago? This is from HoodedShaft. And this was the video that got posted. Now, unfortunately, I downloaded the new patch last night, but I didn't get a chance to go into the game yet. So maybe somebody could tell us. Those of you who are Andromeda Connie owners, there it is, the video. Some of you remember from back in the day when this used to work in the game and people enjoyed being able to sit at a table and just stare at it. So I want to know, has anybody gone in and tried this out? But that's not the real point of this question. The real point of this is, it's amazing. I'm a Connie owner. And so us Connie owners are probably like, hey, that's great. It's not a big deal, right? I mean, it's not making you earn any extra money because the table comes up. But here's my question. There are probably some things in the game that every time you play the game, every time you step into a certain location, every time you step into a ship, you wished, man, I wish this was working, because if this was working, it would be so cool, right? I'd like for you to come in and tell me, what is it in the game that you know CIG is supposedly or supposed to be eventually operate, or maybe it used to operate and it's not there anymore, or they've taken it away. What are those things in there for you that are both quality of life and immersion level? It's a long list. Hey, madness. A long list. What are those things? For some people, it's going to be, man, I wish that the lockers worked so I could put my flight suits in it, right? For other people, it may be something that's in their hab. Maybe it is, their personal hab, a personal space. I don't want to list. I don't want to list because I want to give room for different people to come in and share what's the thing in Star Citizen that they wish was working. Now, mind you, I'm picking the table specifically. Don't come in and say server meshing, higher population, any of that stuff, because we know they're working on that. Okay, I'm not looking at mechanics. I'm not looking at missions, for example. Okay, I'm talking about what are those little weird things that are in there that make the game more immersive that you wish were operating. Okay, somebody might say, I'm looking forward to the fire extinguishers coming in, or I'm looking something like that. I want to know what are those things that you feel would make the game more immersive for you if they were working. Do you like the fact that you can sit down and you have to wear a backpack and heavy armor and all this other stuff, where you say, oh no, I'm looking forward to when we don't have to do that and we have to put stuff away? Okay, so come on in, give me your thoughts real quick on this one. What are those things, quality of life related, immersion related, even aesthetically related, that you wish were really, really working in the game? All right, y'all shouting it out in the chat. Let me see what you all are going to say here. We've got lighting my fire. Light my fire. Let's see. Escape pods. ZP says escape pods. Okay, yeah, that would be really cool. Okay, we got a couple people who just popped in. Let me bring in Fist to Face and see what he's going to say. Hey, Fist.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
Okay.
Features. You said features that I wish. Oh man, I would have to say cartography deck in a character.
Be more specific, because I don't want to say I don't want you to say I want science. Be specific. Like, are you saying you want the cartography table to be operating so that you is that what you're talking about?
Right. I want the
I want the immersion.
No, not the cartography table. The cartography
I don't want a
deck in the
feature.
character.
I don't want a feature. I don't want you to say, oh, I want the black market to be in. I don't want that. I want what are those immersion things that when you go into the game, they're working. If you step on your ship, in your hab, in your vehicle, what is that thing that you see all the time that does, like you mentioned, cartography? You go back into that cool cartography room on the carrot and it's just static. You see what I'm saying? Are you saying you want that room operating, like the computer, the thing, the table?
Correct.
Okay.
I want the console to be working because it's just there.
Did you see that they have it fixed? They have it working in this patch, I think.
I didn't. You know what? I couldn't even get to the.
Couldn't get in?
Remember, we were just in.
It's either if it's not the cartography table, it's the radar globe. One of them is working.
Right.
I don't know which one, so it may not be the cartography table, but I think one of them is working. Like you, I haven't been in yet. Okay, but I agree with you. I would love to see that room light up. Like, I don't know what the rest of those walls are. I know Disco has suggested that they make it like you know what I'm talking about. Right. But I agree with you on that. I think if that room was working and not just the planets, but actually working, like somebody had to be back there doing something, that would be really cool.
Right.
Okay, I'll dig that. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Good kickoff. Good kickoff. All right, let's bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral.
Griff, what we really need in this game is poop mechanics.
You want the poop mechanics working? You want the bathrooms working? Is that
We
what
got
you said?
bathroom gameplay, like we do in a game that might sound like Scum, and it's all poop and peeing mechanics, and maybe the shower gameplay. We get some shower gameplay in my Connie. I can invite people over.
So let me ask you a question. When you say that you want to see those operating and working, how do you see that mechanic working? I mean, do you want to actually animate going, like right now you can, right? You just go in and sit in the toilet, right? But you and I both know that in Scum, it's actually like you really do poop, you really do pee. So,
Now
let me ask you this. Explain how you would want that mechanic to work in Star Citizen not using the bathroom? Like if you're out someplace where you can't, where there is no bathroom.
Yeah, I don't think Star Citizen's gonna have you make you pop a squat, but you might have like be uncomfortable or something like that where you have to
impacting
use
stamina
the bathroom
effect. Okay,
whenever
yeah.
you can get to one.
To get to one
like that.
Okay.
And certainly, I'm all for the 3 seashells mechanic, which they don't like to do because they're stupid. But certainly like the whole smell-o-vision type of thing that they're trying to push.
Okay.
Would be kind of interesting.
Okay.
But that seems like it's like years away. But
all right. Well, we'll stick with the bathroom thing, bathroom shower thing.
I'm being a little facetious, but it is something I've seen in other games. So it's like, hey, get on it.
Okay. Hygiene,
get on the throne.
Hygiene and throne. I got you. All right. Thank you.
Hygiene.
All right. Let me bring in FC Fast Card himself. Fast Card.
Yeah, I'm gonna say old hanger flares because we got the new subscriber flare that just came in.
Okay.
And those are you're able to put those up. But a lot of the old hanger flares from the old hangers before, 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Most of those don't work. Cause those are my reasons for popping in the game after every patch, every reset. I would redecorate my hanger. That was my thing.
Okay. So you want to get back to the old being able to decorate your hanger using all of the flare that you've collected over the years, right? All of it. Yeah. All of it over the years. All of it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, everything from 2014 and before and up to present time. That's me.
Yeah. Now they had said that they were. Well, I remember when the hanger thing came out. They had mentioned in part of the patch thing that some of the, like you said, the older ones didn't work. And some of them, you may even be able to see them. And it's weird because some of the old ones do work, right? Like the fish tanks, for example, right? They work. But then there are other ones.
Did it fully work? Are the fish working inside the fish tank?
Well, let me rephrase that. No, the fish. Well, I don't know if it's the tank, but the fish don't work, right?
Right.
But those of you who don't remember this, to Fast Card's point, back in the day when you set the fish tank out, you would go to the control panel on it, and then you could say what fish you wanted to have inside of the tank. You could literally pick which ones you wanted. So if you wanted to buy just all of the crabs, you could just put crabs in, or if you want to put in a variety of fish, you could do that. So now, even though the tank spawns and it's got water in it and the plants are moving around, unfortunately, it does not operate yet. But then there are other things like big Benny machines. There's the table lamps. There's a lot of other things that still do not function. I don't think Fast Card, even the piano. I don't know. I haven't tried the piano yet. It does work in the ship. I don't know if it works.
I was going to say the piano's on for the ship, isn't it?
No, I thought I saw somebody actually sit it out in a hangar once. I thought somebody tried that. I'm always on my main account, so I'm never on the other account to see. So I might have to give that a try. But okay. That's a fair one. We want to get some of the odd and end pieces from the hangar flare, get those operating so we can use them. Okay, thank you, brother. Alrighty, thank you. Who was that? Rastasan. Hey, good to see you. Thank you for the 22 months. Thank you so much. I hope you are doing well. Thank you, and it's good to see you here as always. Alrighty, who do we have here? Pops in space. Let's bring in Pops. Hey, Pops.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
I hope this counts.
Okay.
The grid for the hangers, lining stuff up in your hangers.
Okay. Yeah, you want to make sure that when you're putting things down that they are, for lack of a better term, nailed to the ground stable. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, when my OCD lining things up.
Oh, I see what you mean. Alignment. Like you can be very accurate with your alignment and stuff. It doesn't jiggle around or move out of position and stuff like that on you.
Right.
Okay. What were you trying to put down? Furniture?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want my chairs and stuff lined up properly, like normally would in a lot of other games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know that when they first gave us the hangers, people were really having problems with the if they set out a table and they want to set their weapons on it and stuff. That was a problem because there's an issue in relation to the physics grid. So stuff kind of bounced, right? Because there's the whole thing with weight and all that other stuff that goes on. So I know that's been an issue. I beat the furniture thing by just putting stuff against something so it doesn't move. If you leave it out, you're right. It'll be shifted in a different position. And I've been pretty lucky so far with it so far, but I do know that if you put things in random places, sometimes you come back and they've just, or even just like you said, you're trying to be really like you. I'm real, you know, I'm like you, right? I got my yin yang thing going on, right? I got to have everything perfect. So I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You can't get it just that extra 2 degrees that don't want to stay and it flops back the other way, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want my, man, I don't even want to talk about it because it just don't look right.
Get you worked up. Okay, Pops, fair enough.
I'm stressing right now.
I understand. All right, thanks, buddy. All right. Okay, I know there were several things in here. Refilled my drinks in my ship. Let's see. The list is so long. Let's see. Yeah, I know that these things. Yeah, I know these. Some of these things are very low priority, and we get it, you know. But it's interesting how something as simple as this table here, for someone who owns a Connie, brings it one step closer to the game actually feeling more immersive. And I know when I go on my ships, I put guns in my gun racks. If it has storage units, I put stuff in the storage units. If it has a kitchen, I set drinks and food out. I don't mind bringing a 0.8 cargo box with me to bring my stuff on board, but I want to be able to go to my bar in my 600i, and I want to be able to open the glass door, and I want to be able to put my drinks inside of there. I want my guests to be able to go down to the bar and open that glass door and get something out of it. So those are the things I think that make the game feel a little bit more immersive, feel like you do own it, it's yours. The staticness of it for me, you know, it makes it feel just kind of like, you know, you ever go to a play and it's just like, you know, the set design is nothing more than a flat. Y'all know what a flat is, the background, right? But when they've got the furniture and stuff out there, it gives more depth to it. So that's how I want the ships to feel. I want to feel that depth that exists in there. Okay, we are cutting through the show pretty fast today. We are ahead of time. So what we're going to do is take a very quick commercial break. And when we come back from that, we are going to talk about our final subject. We only got 3 subjects today. We don't have a bunch of them today. So we're going to do our third and final subject. So bear with me. We'll be right back after just 1 minute. See you in a second. Hello. I don't know. I was thinking about Mrs. Doubtfire for some reason. Robin Williams has been on my mind recently. Hey, everybody. If you guys are seeing this, that means you're a subscriber to our channel. We, as always, want to say thank you for your continued support, for hanging out with us when you're here, when you watch us on YouTube or our VOD videos on Twitch. Thank you guys so much. Our title for today, as I mentioned earlier, was The Joy of Nerfing, and we're going to be talking about that in just a moment when folks come back. Tomorrow we're doing a very special, different kind of show as we're coming up to CitizenCon called Everybody Hates Chris. And so some of the things we talked about today will be very apropos for tomorrow. I think you'll really enjoy tomorrow's show. It's going to be very different for us. Some people think that we are always white knights, but we're going to give a little bit of history of the haters and the hating that some people and some of us may even feel. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Alrighty, we are back. Thank you guys for being here as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done that to us yet. If you like what you're hearing and you're enjoying the show, as always, thank all of you all for being here on your Saturday. You could be a lot of different places in the world of the internet, but you're here with us, so thank you guys for that. Okay, let's get into our main topic for today. This topic has come up so many times. I don't think we've done it a lot on here, but it's definitely come up in the community a lot. And it's not just in Star Citizen. This term is used throughout gaming, and it has its own definition, its own connotation. But it's the title of today's show. And the title of today's show is The Joy of Nerfing. And I know you're saying, Griff, you're out of your mind. There is no joy in nerfing, but maybe there is. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So hopefully you guys will be able to come in, give me your thoughts on what I share with you. And of course, we really want to hear from you. I'm glad you like that picture, Prisoner. And there's a reason why I picked that picture. And I'm going to come back to that in a hot second. But I want to read this definition for you guys of what nerfing is. And this is from the internet, the infamous internet. The term nerf has a pretty cool origin story. It comes from Nerf, the toy brand, known for making soft foam products, especially toy weapons. The idea is that a nerfed weapon in a game is about as harmless as a Nerf gun in real life. Soft, squishy, and definitely not as dangerous as the real thing. Okay. So that's the definition that they're giving up for nerfing. Okay. As you guys know, there have been adjustments that have been being made to Star Citizen recently. First of all, we got the list a couple weeks ago, where they talked about components and talking about adjustments that were taking place with components. There was also some adjustments being done to ships. In particular, the one that probably stood out the most to people where they felt that there was a nerfing was the Redeemer. In the past, in the community, we've had other ships that people have said they were nerfed. We had the Crusader Ares, the Ion, and the Inferno. Not just though, there have been others. You know, some people felt that the F8 got nerfed in spite of the F7 coming out. So this idea of things being nerfed in the game, and again, this happens in other games too. So it's not just, to Star Citizen. But since we're about Star Citizen, we're going to talk about it, the nerfing. Then there are the times when things go the other direction too. The nerfing is the one that really gets more of the energy, more than when something is spun the other way. But give me your feelings about this, especially in light of one of the newest ones, which has been for the Drake Corsair. There has been interesting arguments on both sides as to that particular ship. Some people who feel that ship has been a little bit on the OP side. Some people who feel that it's supposed to be OP based on what CIG has stated about it. There are other people who feel like the adjustment that's being made might balance it out a little bit more, assuming that they're going to go with this co-pilot and the second turret kind of thing. And then think about the design of the ship itself, not just that ship, but we talk about the Redeemer and others. So would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this idea of nerfing. Is it a good thing? Is it not a good thing? When is it a good thing? When is it done in a way that makes it not a good thing? I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on some of that. So let me bring in Fist. I don't remember if it was Fist or V, so I'm going to bring in Fist first, and I'll bring in Volt next. Fist, you there? Hey.
Yes, sir. Okay. My feelings as far as towards the changes is neutral.
Okay.
Because I haven't been really in the game as much. So I know I spoke to Togi. Shout out to Togi. He's not here today. On this when we talked about the damn, you just named the ship. Corsair.
Corsair.
Yeah, he just right. The Corsair and as well as the Redeemer, right? How it got nerfed, right?
Yeah.
But my question to Togi was, okay, is CIG focusing these ships around what they were intended to do instead of, right at the moment, the pew, right? Everybody looks at something and it's like, oh man, it's so OP, and you get used to something. I get that.
Right.
The other thing is that I see as Red Beard makes a point is that the ship is meant to be multi-crew, right? So its max firepower, could really become useful, obviously, when it's multi-crew. So are we looking at these ships from a singular person operator or a multi-crew operation? So that's why I'm kind of juggling with the word. Like, I'm kind of like saying the word nerfing. It's like, is it really nerfing or is it balancing?
Well, let me play devil's advocate. I think you get some interesting questions and some good questions. One of the things that some people felt was not good, did not give a good look, was that the Corsair has been out 2 years. And this is probably one of the longest times, maybe other than the Redeemer, where a long time has gone by and then there's been an adjustment. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a needed adjustment. But there are people who feel that maybe this adjustment is happening because CitizenCon's coming up. And they're pulling that shit back because CIG is going to introduce a new OP, a new flavor of the month. Right? Maybe the timing. Maybe that is the case. Maybe it's just it was the timing was bad. We don't know. But these are some of the feelings that people have in relation to it. I think your point about it being multi-crew is a factor. I think that anyone who's flown a Corsair, people who have a Corsair are willing to admit, yeah, I can fly this thing single player and do some real damage, right? And then the other arguments to that is that that's great, but it as long as they keep it multi-crew in some form, and the ship is able to still deliver a decent amount of damage, is that, to your point, is that really nerfing, right? And so we'll have to see. Now, some people feel like it has now forced, there is a forcing of multi-crew that's taking place, right? You have to, and I'm not saying whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. There are some people, I'm just using the terms that other people say, it's like I'm being forced to have to, right? And that's how people feel. But other people might say, no, you're not being forced because it is a multi-crew ship. And so there's some things you can do in that ship and some things you can't. Does it inhibit solo play? That's a good argument, a good question. The question is solo play, does it inhibit solo play in that ship? Or does it just inhibit solo play in the game, right? And CIG says that they want to make it so people can solo. I think people can still fly the ship. The question is, can you fly? And this isn't just in relation to the Corsair, it's other ships in the game. I stated the other day while we were having this conversation that I believe that there are going to be other ships, even one of my favorite ships, the 600. I believe the 600 is going to get nerfed. It is a soloable ship with 3 size 5s on it. You know, and if they pulled it back to a 1 size 5 and 2 size 4s or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised, you know. But we're nowhere near balancing yet, right? So right now, we'll go with like what's happening to the Redeemer, what's happening with the Corsair, and we'll see what happens in the future. But I think your point is a good point, and it's a question to ask. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. All right, buddy. Thank you much. All right. Let's bring in V. I'm bringing Volt next. Hey, buddy, you back?
Hello.
Yep.
So, the Corsair.
Okay.
I think I'm a Corsair owner, so it's one of like my more favorited ships. And so when I heard about this nerf, I was like, "What?" For like the first couple of seconds, I was like, "Wait, how is it getting nerfed?" And then I hear it's like the weapons are going to the co-pilot. I think I can see where people are coming from with the they're going to release like a new flavor of the month. I could see that, but I think it's just like a testing thing. They want to see, is this viable? Because essentially the co-pilot's main role for like the past couple of years that we had the 3.0 build was to really do power management while the pilot flew.
Right.
Now they kind of lost that with the engineer role and with power management being more tailored to the pilot. If you notice, the pilot has a lot more control in like 3.24.2 and in like 4.0, everything that they showed. The pilot and the engineer are going to be working with power management. The engineer more detailed, the pilot, okay, I'm just going to set this up. And so the co-pilot kind of lost stuff there. I think it's a little bit of just like a dumb decision because you also have like the Constellation. Like if you look at its direct competitor, it's like same like 4 size 5s on both of them. It's just the Corsair has lower armor, lower cargo, and
the missile count is lower.
Less missiles.
Right.
And then it goes straight to like you just exchange that all out for heavy firepower on the ship.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they kind of wanted to give something the co-pilot to do. It's a little weird because the co-pilot already has the turret up top, but I can see that turret being a little bit of a pea shooter because it's size 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, who knows what they're going to do to all the turrets around the game? Are they going to buff them? We don't know how this is going to like roll out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it might be a reason because I mean, so many people were using the Corsair. Like, I'm like, so many people were using it. I can see why CIG saw it as an issue because so many people were using it to just run through ERTs and VHRTs solo.
Yeah.
Like, it should not be doing that solo. And so I think they kind of did this to get it out of that sphere. And they're either going to revert it or keep it if they like it. I think it's a possible, like, they just leave it.
Yeah.
If they like it. If they don't, they just revert it and give us back full control of the weapons, and who knows?
Yeah.
But don't go selling your Corsairs.
There you go.
Like I said with the Redeemer last time.
There you
don't go selling them.
There you go. Good point.
I'm not getting rid of my Corsair. I'm not going to upgrade it or anything because who knows? Like, we don't even know what the final balance of the game is going to be. This could be something to promote more multi-crew, but I mean, on a big ship like that, it already has some multi-crew push. I mean, it's already a beast even solo. If you fully crew the thing, it's even more so because that's an extra like 6 size 2s. So who knows what this is all going to end up being, but yeah, like I mean, hope that we get like overall, it's like we shouldn't be nerfing vehicles. We should be finding ways to like make other vehicles more promoted, like make the negatives more apparent and the benefits of another ship more apparent. But this could be one reason of that is like, okay, we're trying to push this one out. We want you to test the Connie. We want the Connie because it's supposed to get a rework. So I could see like the Connie rework interiors possibly being the push for why they want it to be tested. Because if the Connie interiors come out and people are like, oh well, I mean, it's just a Corsair, more missiles, 2 less size 4s. I mean, it's already pretty comparable. So I think it was just the cheaper alternative, which is Drake's whole point. Is to be a cheaper alternative. So I think they might just revert it. Who knows? This is all just speculation, but yeah.
No. I think your points are very well taken. Let me ask you a question, because Prisoner put something in here about what the Corsair is, and Prisoner, I have a problem with what CIG has. I can't put my finger on what the Corsair is, so I'm going to ask Volt. What to you? Is it an exploration ship? Is it a pirate ship? Is it a gunship? How do you see the Corsair?
So I see the Corsair. Again, I agree. The like explanation. I see it as like a in between. I hope it gets like a better radar suite, and that's what that spine on the back is. But essentially, what I see it being is Drake's answer to the Constellation line. And if you look at Drake, pretty much all of their vehicles, a majority of them is either a variation of the Cuddy Black or guns with rockets on them. And so I see it as like the answer to the Constellation because, I mean, you have the Aquila and the Antares, which are both like heavy, pretty decent combat ships. You lose the turret on the Aquila for a radar turret. So they make the radar suite a lot better on the Aquila, but the radar on the Corsair is better than the Andromeda. Then I think as like a middle ground between the two, cheaper alternative, that's where it could fit in. So I see it as like an in-between. If they label it as like a gunship / explorer, then I think it'll be a lot better put. But yeah, I mean, if they keep this change, I would rather have it be that they convert the like 2 weapons instead of it being like a 2 size 5 thing just snapped onto the nose, that they turn it into like a turret right below the co-pilot so that you have that below coverage, because that's the only thing the Corsair is missing.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Thanks. Appreciate that. Okay. Volt's got some good answers there. Let's bring in Pops in space. Pops, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. The Joy of Nerfing. Give me your thoughts.
Oh wow. I know you were there with me back in the day of the Ion when it first came out, and I loved it. I could, I was like, this is the solo shit for me. And then they did this crazy thing with it, and I was like, man, I'm like, what they said it was supposed to do this, and you were like, listen, you gotta, you kind of you reeled me in, and I'm, I have to say about it, I was really disappointed. And I also own the Redeemer,
Right.
and me and my son would go out, and we just the two of us, and we would kill hammerheads, just the two of us with them. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is not good. As far as balancing was concerned, I'm like, I don't, maybe two of them should be able to take out a hammerhead in 5, because we were taking them out in like 3 minutes. So I always kind of felt that one was going to get nerfed.
Okay.
So I can respectfully understand that one, but hey, nerf, do whatever but they've also. I don't know if I can. Well, I'll say it, and you can say you don't want to hear it.
Sure.
But they've also. It's not just that they're nerfing ships. They also added a rumor about a bigger gun on the Polaris.
Right.
Underneath.
Right. Well, they've confirmed that that's going to happen. Yeah.
Right. That's going to happen.
So, like I said, sometimes we hear more about the nerfing than we hear about the fact that it's going the other direction, right, on that particular case. But CIG had announced last year when they talked about the Polaris that they may I think they either said going to add more guns or increase it. So there was a little hint to that coming. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right, Pops, well, hang in there. Don't sell nothing. Don't melt nothing, brother. Hang in there, all right?
They are gone, bro.
All right. All right, let me bring in Kai's in next. Hey, Kai.
Hello. How you doing, bro?
Okay.
All right, so I want to sort of expand on a point and agree with both Fist and Volt, as well as attack the premise of your question.
Okay.
I don't think that they have nerfed anything.
Okay.
I don't think that they can nerf anything.
Okay.
To me, the idea of nerfing a product is taking an item that has been released as a finished product and then making it weaker. In my opinion, when the game is still this early in dev, now you can be pissed off at that. That's a whole different issue and a different discussion that you can raise.
Right.
But when an item is in pre-release and early dev, and you have so many game loops and aspects of gameplay that are not completed and are labeled as not completed and still in flux, you can't nerf anything.
Yes.
When you say, oh, this ship is so much easier to kill now in this version, blah, blah, blah. We don't have armor isn't complete. This isn't complete. That isn't complete.
Yep.
Nothing is being nerfed. Everything is in flux. Everything is out there. I am an Ion owner because I think it looks cool as hell. I love it. Will it be strong? Will it be weak? Anyone who tells you they know for sure, including Chris Roberts, is a liar. We're years out from this product being finished. Just everybody needs to chill. There is no nerfing of anything. Loops aren't done, and as they aren't done, things will change. Every last person that buys every last part of this game sees and signs, like you click on a box that says, I understand that this might be awesome today and dog shit tomorrow and awesome in 6 months and dog shit in 1 year and awesome in 2 years and dog shit in 3 years and awesome in 5 years. Like, it's all in flux. Everyone needs to chill.
Yeah.
Love you. I'm out.
Thanks, man. That's good stuff. All right, let's bring in Lord of the Drip. Lord of the Drip.
Hey, Griff, can you hear me?
There he is. Yeah, I can hear you nice and clear, brother. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
No, I'm not great. I'm not great. Okay?
Oh, okay. Okay.
But number one, to address the previous speakers' comment about everything being, nothing's being nerfed. And I have 2 points on this. First is when Sig sells these ships, they give us marketing materials, right? And on those marketing materials, what do they give us? They give us detailed specs. Right. They tell us how many size 4 hard planks it's going to have. They tell us it's going to have a size 3 shield, all that kind of stuff. And for lots of people, that contributes to the decision to purchase. So it's one thing if you give me just a paragraph and you say the Redeemer is a great ship that's going to be able to do this and this and this. And you don't tell me anything about, and if I still make that decision to go ahead and purchase, then that's fine. You know, that's fine. That's for me, 100%. But since marketing strategy has been to release detailed specs about these ships, and then come back and change them when they're getting ready to release some other ships, so they want you to buy. So I think that's a dishonest practice. That's how I feel about it.
Let me ask a question on your point. Let me ask you a question on your point. Let me ask you a question because I don't dispute what you're saying, and I don't want to. I'm not even trying to say it's a matter of perception. We've talked about the fact that there's this tightrope that CIG walks when it comes down to marketing and communication, right? How do you create? And I don't know what the answer is to this. I'm throwing this out there on the water. How do you create enough information for me as a consumer? I love the 600i, right? And the things that drew me to that particular ship, it wasn't about the firepower and stuff. It was literally the design of the ship, right? Even the stupid, crazy stuff like we use these certain woods and this type of granite and all that, right? That was my thing. Now, if they were to take that ship and change the interior completely and made it where it was like all metal, like all chrome inside, right? Even though their design doc in the brochure they put out said that it's using these special materials and all this other stuff, and they did all that, I would probably feel a certain kind of way, right? Because that was what I was using. That's what I had in my hands at that time to help me make a decision on whether I wanted to purchase that particular or, back getting that particular ship. At the same time, there is this aspect of if it's something that makes the game better as they develop, that I also as a player want them to do that. I want them to do what it takes to make the game better, because even though this thing I want is this way, if it's going to hurt the game and its overall gameplay, do they have responsibility to me based upon what they sold me and what they said beforehand? Or do they have greater responsibility to make sure that the game plays equitably for everybody? And that's where I wrestle. That's where I wrestle with the clause at the end that says that things can change. Even though they put out a hard copy, printed picture, video showing me that this is where they want to go. And I struggle with that. Because I want the game to be the best that it can be.
I totally understand wanting the game to be the best it can be, and I agree with that as far as world balancing. But there are different ways to accomplish that. And then there's also the question: is it the majority or the minority that's determining that? For instance, I'll keep going back to the Redeemer. That the Redeemer is a world breaker, because I didn't even find out about the Redeemer until I was playing one day with a friend of mine. And bounties, like, hey, let's check out this Redeemer. It's pretty cool. It's got some fire.
Your audio's breaking up just a little bit, brother. Say it one more time. You said you're playing with a friend, and what now?
I was playing with a friend with Redeemer, and he introduced me to it, and I can't love it. But question is, by the Redeemer and us running bounties, by it having extra firepower, did that break the game in some way? So I would argue that
the funny thing about the Redeemer, and I hate to use the Redeemer as that as a example, because that ship has changed. At one point it was a drop ship, then it went from a drop ship to a gun ship. And then the ship was considered by many people, and not to be funny, but you can tell when something starts to become the meta because everybody starts using it. And Pops even admitted when he and Fist went into it and used it, and I've known other people, as soon as that thing came out, they were blowing up hammerheads. Now, mind you, this is where I think the tough part with this comes in, because Kai touched on some things. Because, let me say something that V said and Kai said. V said this might be just nothing more than just a test. In other words, things could change, just like this has happened. And we've seen this happen before. They'll do something, put it in, it doesn't work, they switch it back. Or they make it better. So that there is that possibility that the line is not drawn in the sand in relation to the Redeemer, the Corsair, or any other ship for that matter. Secondly, all the other aspects that impact the power and level of these ships, such as armor, such as shield, what do they call them? Shield emitters. There's a whole bunch of stuff, engineering, that is not implemented yet. And so because we don't have all the factors there, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with raising the alarm and saying, hey, CIG, whoa, where are you going with this thing? Because we don't want such and such to happen. I don't think that's a problem with doing that. But I do caution people who might feel that when something happens, that is the final peg in the thing. I think it's good for us to monitor it, to stay on top of it. Like when the Ares thing came up, I was telling all my friends, everybody was so disappointed about I said, do not melt your Ares. I said, just hang on to them, wait and see where they're going with this. If the ship is supposed to be what it's supposed to do, get out of that sniper crap and all that other stuff. Stick to what the document says, that it's designed to work in tandem with other ships to take down capital ships, not solo it, but to assist in taking down capital ships. And some people melted them because they were frustrated because it had all this power. But I personally feel like later on, that ship's going to come right back to where it was supposed to be. So I feel that way about many of the ships in the game. But there are some ships, and like I said, even the 600i that I love, they're going to hit it. There's no question about me, because DK Dark Knight, he flies that thing around all the time. That's the only ship he flies, and he's out there slaughtering stuff when we're out there having battles with a 600. And that's not what a 600 is for, So I understand the angst. Go ahead. Because you said you got 2 points. I don't mean to keep talking. You go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I get looking longer term.
Mm-hmm.
That this is an alpha and things can move. But when we talk about nerfing, my point is, in any game, there are going to be outliers and unicorns. Like the thing that is better than the other things. They're like,
yeah.
Looking up in the Star Citizen where every single fighter handles like the X7C.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
But as far as the overall strategy for nerfing for companies in general, is twofold. One is tuning normally, right? Where you set, for instance, a size 7 does XXX amounts of damage, right? And you either adjust that up and down so it affects all ships that have the same size with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is you have a marketing strategy where you just keep raising the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So now, because I understand they want to sell ships,
mm-hmm.
and they always want to sell the new hotness.
Mm-hmm.
So now, does the Galaxy debut with a size 49 gun? You know what I mean? like that's the other side of that coin.
Yeah. No.
If you have a Redeemer, you keep your size 5 guns, but the next new hotness might have size 6 or size 7 or size 8.
Right. No, that's a good point.
People Redeemers are going to be salty still because they're going to
Yeah. Drip, I'm sorry, you have to forgive me. Your audio is really breaking up bad. So... Okay, go ahead. I think you were coming in clear, then it broke up, but go ahead.
Yeah, if audio is bad, I'll just go ahead and drop it.
Okay. No, but I hear your point. No, you're right. And again, we'll have to wait till CitizenCon comes up and sees, right? I don't know what these new ships are. I mean, we got names and all this other stuff. Will they drop something that is the new hotness that obviously they did it because the Corsair, because of that? We'll see, right? If it's something that ain't got nothing to do with the Corsair, then we'll find out, okay, maybe it wasn't because of that. But I agree. Again, like I said, it's a tightrope for me too when it comes to how they get through this. But thanks for coming in, Drip. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi, then we're going to bring in Captain Sirius, and then we're going to probably wrap it up. Admiral, you there?
Hey, sir, how's it going today?
I'm okay.
Again.
Again.
It's kind of like, I was just thinking like leases, like people buy a car and they get a lease, and then after a couple of years they get the new car because it's got the fresh smell, and it does it does the same thing. It provides the same comfort. You put gas into it, or electricity these days.
Yeah.
Maybe even hydrogen.
Yeah.
But it's like the new hotness, like you're saying. What's interesting is like you look at things like the Redeemer, and originally I think it was like slated for like size 3s at the max. Like I think they had two size 2s, a bunch of size 2s and a size 3. And like the previous call, they do a thing with marketing which kind of like irks me. Like the marketing department really kind of gets me going once in a while, where they're like, "Hey, you know what we need in this final release of this? We should up the guns." Oh yeah, we get so many more sales if we up the guns. Like size 4s, right? No. Size 5. Like what? And we can't put that in there. It looks ridiculous. Oh, yo, just put them on there. It's like my whole thing with like the Harbinger or the Harbinger, and as my Bostonian accent wants to say, and it's like you look at the size 5 gun on the front mount, and you're thinking like, how the hell is that thing even attached to that ship? It should fall right off. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So for them to eventually put like a size 4 in there, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I've been expecting that for 5 years. So, but like, and then but I always had an issue with the Redeemer, because when the Redeemer came out, it was like, what's the point of having like a hammerhead? And because the amount, if you had 2 Redeemers, you would it would be crazy better than that fully crude hammerhead. And so I kind of felt like they would have to do something there, and they have. They also I forget who the caller was, but they also, it might have been Kai. I think Kai mentioned armor. When armor comes into play, this game is dramatically going to change. So like all the flight mechanics, like master modes and everything before it, as soon as armor comes into play, it's going to be like a lot more finished than what it is now, because it's still like it's like really feels like if we're talking about nerfing stuff, it's they're still trying to tinker with the balancing, and they're trying to balance it right now in a way that aligns with not having armor in play, is the way I look at it.
Okay. That's a fair
but
assessment.
it's certainly disappointing when you buy a ship like, say, the Ares, and it's supposed to be, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that a size 7 gun that shoots a size 6 bullet right now?
Something like that, I think it is. Yeah.
So like you're like, oh, I bought this ship, it's got a size 7 weapon, and they're like, well, that's actually too powerful for what we have in game. We're going to make it a size 6 right now, equivalency. So it's like you're not even getting what that's a great ship in game right now, depending on what you're using it for. And it's still not where that's going to be buffed, in that terms of armament. So we've got a lot to kind of like munch on.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other ships. Like, is the 600 like, is that supposed to be like a battleship? I mean, I think it's a tank in terms of like firing into stuff.
It is.
I don't understand that. Like, oh, I got the 600. Yeah, it's a luxury ship. Who takes their yacht and goes attacks like Somali pirates right now? I don't know many people that do that.
Right.
So not like Steve Jobs designed his yacht to go attack Somali pirates and free up the trade lanes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I do think luxury yachts in terms of shielding is supposed to be extremely strong. I feel those ships are like survivable ships. If you have a luxury ship, it should be able to like be able to put up a lot of
they're supposed to be
tank a lot of stuff,
right,
but not have a lot of firepower.
Exactly, defensive capabilities. Even the 600i on the original brochure, it has a point defense system built into it. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they haven't implemented yet, and that's just for defensive capabilities, not to go out and, like you said, go start a war. Even though I know there are plenty of people that like to put tanks on the top of their 890 and start some stuff, but
like the 890 commercial, right? Everybody's in there having drinks and stuff, and meanwhile,
the people feel safe though.
There's a goddamn space battle outside, and they're still drinking champagne because they're like, who gives a shit, right? So, and that's I think what Origin is supposed to be,
right? Is
like a carefree like experience where your shields can take an absolute pounding and you're able to defend your ship.
Exactly.
So you're not going to be taking that thing into like Vandal space and like I don't know, getting a bucket of ice cream from the nearest Vandal's,
That's
store
true.
or something. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Admiral.
All right.
All right. Last but not least, Serious Fun's going to join us, and I'm going to kind of have a little discussion with him on my thoughts on this topic. How are you, Serious Fun?
Gaming RPG, greetings and salutations.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. I'm fine.
I had a day of work today. I had a day of service for my organization, but on the way back, I was listening, and I was so compelled to get on.
Okay.
I caught the end of the show and booted up the PC, and I'm on. The conversation not only here around this idea, but also across the World Wide Web reminds me of, and I spent time with the family living in Scotland. It reminds me of a guy named Sidney Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And Sidney Smith did a lot of things. He was English wit. He was a writer. He was an Anglican cleric on the side. He created the Edinburgh Review. But he's remembered for two things. The first thing he's remembered for is a recipe for salad dressing that rhymes. And the second thing he's remembered for is a word that he was the first person recorded ever to use in 1833. And the word is conniption. And that's what this community has had around these changes. There has been a conniption. There was a conniption over the changes to the Ion. There was a conniption over the changes to the Redeemer. Now there's a conniption over changes to the Corsair. And so my first reaction to this is new boss says the old boss, right? It's sort of like we have been here for a while.
Yeah.
In terms of some of these changes. But my second reaction is a little bit more empathetic, right?
Uh-huh.
And I start to think about this from the perspective of my favorite ships.
Uh-huh.
Right? I start to think about this from the perspective of, if they introduce the Zeus and all of a sudden they drop the Zeus's SCUs from 128 to 40, and they put a bunch of brackets, old style RSI brackets across the front windscreen.
How would you feel? Huh?
Right? And how would I feel? Right?
Uh-huh.
And so, and Kaizen referenced this much earlier in that, in an environment like this, I'm not sure how often feelings can be wrong. Right? At the same time, I'm not sure that CIG can be charged with anything other than doing what they told us they're going to do. Which is that there was going to be a lot of changes to the game. Change can happen at any time, change on any feature. This stuff will be changed. And some of it we will, and some of the rationale for the changes we'll have line of sight to.
Yeah.
And some of the rationale we won't until later, right? And even later, when we get the information that they were using in their planning for the changes in the rationale, we still might not agree, right? And then what's great about that is that, and Griff, you tend to say, don't melt your ships. I melt ships all the time. Ships in my toolbox come and go. They ebb and they flow.
Right.
Right. Because if I start to have this relationship with the ship and then they change it, a la the Ares Ion, or you got to go. You got to go. I can't call you my ship anymore if you ain't functioning as my ship. Right now, if the Ion comes back to be what we thought it was going to be, and I love the way it looks, then maybe it comes back into the repertoire. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
But I'm really comfortable with that. This idea of, because we love a thing that they can't change a thing, that has to be challenged and examined. But we also can't ignore that part of the reason these ships are so attractive isn't just the analytical detail of the ships. These ships attract us aesthetically.
Right.
We like them. They appeal to us emotionally. right? Lines on a car that you really want appeal to you emotionally, right? And so I hear that, I understand that, and this is the one thing I want to leave the community with. There's going to be more of this.
Yeah.
And they're coming for your ship too. Right? They're coming for your ship too. You got to put Connie people laughing at the changes to the Corsair.
Yeah,
they're coming for the Connie too.
Yeah, they're coming for that Connie. Absolutely. They better be careful.
Right?
I saw that. Yeah.
So
that's very true. Let me share some thoughts.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
There's a reason why I picked the picture that's up here. I think Kai, as painful as it is, Kai was right. Until things are in place. I know it feels like a nerf, and we may define it as a nerf, but the reality of it is it's an adjustment in the game that and these adjustments come and go. Whether people want to question CIG's motivations, whether they are from a financial marketing position, and that's why they did it, or whether it's because literally, technically, development-wise, it needed to be done. Those are fair questions to ask, and unfortunately, the curtain's not pulled back far enough for us to know that. But if you look at this picture, what do you see up there, Cap? Let me ask you.
It looks like my son's 13th birthday party when they went and did a tag.
Yeah.
It looks like one person has a variation of the things the other person has. It looks like a parody of weapons and tools.
Very observant. I was gonna call it the joy of balancing, right? But because everyone's using the term nerf, I figured I'd go with what people were comfortable with or what they're familiar with and what they've been saying. What I think is going to happen, everybody, I'm going to give you even more bad news. Cap just said they're coming for your ship. Yeah, they are coming for them. They're coming from all the ships, all of them. There is nothing in this game right now that is where it's supposed to be. Nothing. Guarantee you that. Right. Guarantee you that. But what you see on that picture are two kids who are smiling. Two kids who both have Nerf guns. And their Nerf guns, if you look at them, as Cap observed very well, are different. They have their own aesthetic. Something about them drew them to the one on the left with the pistol that's got the little white background and the little handle in orange in the front. And he's got a different type of rifle. The guy on the right's got the one with the cartridge underneath, and he's got a different look, and they've got stuff attached to their sides and all this, and they both look distinctive. But guess what? I guarantee you not one of those Nerf pellets is hitting one 5 times harder than the other. I guarantee you that is not the case. One of them's not going to knock one down while the other one, it just bounces off of them. But what will determine the winner will be the ability and skill and agility and thoughtfulness and everything else of the other player. That's ultimately what's going to happen. Sure, you may have one gun that has a little bit more range, may shoot another extra foot than the other one. The pistol isn't going to go as far as the rifle. We get that, but that's the same thing we talk about our starter ships versus our medium ships, or our mediums versus the largest. You're going to have that variance. But I wouldn't be surprised if when this is all said and done, and you have to go back to what was said a long time ago by Chris Roberts. Chris Roberts didn't talk about how great your ship would be when you would win a battle. He talked about how good you would be when you win a battle. So don't be surprised if the Connie and the Corsair and the this and the this and this that are mid-class ships all seem to be super close to each other with slight distinctive differences between them. Maybe one has a faster turning rate while another one has a little bit more speed. Maybe this one has a few more missiles, but this one has better guns. And you might find that as we get to what's called balancing, what some people might feel is nerfing, is actually better for the game in the end. Now, this is a difficult roller coaster that we ride because during development, especially when you have a game like the Corsair, if you've been flying it for 2 years and you've gotten used to it, please trust me, I get it. The Connie's been around forever. And I remember when that thing got nerfed and people got upset. Then it goes back. I mean, this is not the first time. This is not the first rodeo that this has happened. And to Captain Sirius's point, we all should, if we kind of understand, I'm not saying you gotta like it, but understand that it will happen. But until CIG says beta or says this is it, and even then in an MMO, and you guys who play MMOs, you know that they continue to balance and they continue to do this stuff even after a game is released. And much of that comes from their own analytics. It comes from you as a community expressing certain feelings, or this isn't working so well, or hey, this certain ship is wiping everybody out. How could that be happening? I mean, this is a symbiotic thing that's just going to happen. Nothing is written in cement. So the conniption that Serious Fun talked about earlier, don't give yourself one. I think that what you see on that screen right there later on is going to be a bunch of us kids smiling with the things that we like the best and having fun. It may not feel like it now, but I think that's where it's going to be eventually. But time will tell.
And it's going to feel fair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You may see a ship go from feeling like it's a world beater to being properly located as a medium ship.
Yeah.
But among the other medium ships, going to feel fair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And development doesn't feel fair because there are ships that are working better than others. Right. I mean, they're, you know, and other ships that just, they ain't delivering, you know, and we want those ships to deliver because to your point, you mentioned earlier how when this ship isn't doing what you want to do, you melt it. I've seen people who, like somebody put out the thing the other day that said, I melted my Banu merchantman for the A2. But to that person's eyesight, the A2 is in their hands. It may not be doing everything it needs to do, but I feel like the money that I put into this, I have something tangible that I can at least do something with. Other people are like, hey, I'll wait for my Banu merchantman, you know. Because I know it's going to be better later on.
Stop talking about fast card like that.
Yeah, you know, but I mean that you get the point. You know, to get the point. Everybody's got different feelings about what motivates them, what moves them in this process of. And listen, guys, we're all consumers, and that is a good thing and a bad thing. Being the consumer, there's a certain dynamic, obviously, that we have the things that we enjoy and we want to get behind and do. But then there's that other side of consumerism that makes us demand and sometimes get crazy about demands. And I'm not saying that you can't express and you can't feel a certain way. I don't want to say that. But I am saying is that we're trying to encourage you to. And I appreciate what you said, Lord of the Trip. Thank you. I don't want the optimism to be hopium. I want it to be in a space of reality that, yeah, this is a difficult, and we've said this before. Development road is a bumpy road. You know, nobody's going to take that away from you. It's a bumpy road, but it's a road that you can travel. But as being a part of that journey, express your thoughts, talk about how you feel about it. Maybe you'll be fine here. Togi's is not here because he's traveling, but to Togi's point was it was the way it was done, not that it was done. Right. That's how he felt, you know, to what Lord of the Drip was saying. Maybe it's the way they do it. You know, it's the marketing materials that come out. You know, their marketing can be so solid and solidified, but then in a very small clause, there's this can change. You know what I mean? But the other letters are big. You know what I mean? It's like they got this big, beautiful brochure. But then I click on this little thing at the end that's got these little 8-point font words, and I'm supposed to match those 8-point font words against the 60-font brochure. You know, there's some psychology things that take place with us as consumers, right? That makes us feel a certain kind of way. So anyway, I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but thank you, Serious Fun. We appreciate you stopping in as always and sharing the word conniption, our word for the day, as they used to have, right? The word for the day is conniption. That's pretty good stuff. All right, brother. Appreciate
Peace, love, soul.
Thank you, man. All right. Serious Fun. Appreciate that. All right, gang. We are at the end of the day. It's been a great conversation as always. You guys always bring the good stuff. Matt Style, good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Let's jump in and talk about what we got coming up here. Today, as you guys know, is PodSat Saturday. our day where we partner with other Star Citizen content creators throughout the universe and give you that whole Saturday afternoon and evening full of Star Citizen content and information. And as you guys know, we're 2 weeks away from CitizenCon. Everybody's going to be buzzing and talking about stuff. We just had the patch come out. People are going to be buzzing and talking about that. So we partner with Paul Shelley with the Captain's Table, which is going to be starting in less than 20 minutes. So we're going to be sending you guys over with the Astropub, where you guys can sit in and listen. I'm sure he's going to have some good conversations. I don't know who he's got on today. Usually I try to get a little bit ahead of myself and know what's going on over there. But he's doing right now. Oh, it's going to be, is Squadron 42 make it or break it for CIG? We kind of had that conversation before. Yeah, so that's going to be the scoop for that for today. So you guys, he's getting ready. He's actually warming up with his guests right now, getting them prepped. So make sure you guys hang out over there with Paul. Let him know that you came over from us. Tomorrow, we are doing a show entitled Everybody Hates Chris. In light of the conversation today, tomorrow, we're going to be giving you a little bit of history of how people have felt about Chris Roberts and CIG over the years, and are some of those feelings warranted? We're going to be dealing with that tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will join us for that show. We're going to have a lot of fun. Myself, I think Yo-Yo Meg is going to be on. Unique's going to be joining me. I'm not sure if anybody else from the team. I don't know if Fast Card or Cap are, but that's going to be our conversation for tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Yes, for Everybody Hates Chris. I want to give a special thank you to everyone. Oh, by the way, this Thursday, Fast Card has been off on break for 2 weeks. He will be back on this Thursday. He'll be streaming, so be sure to come by and join him on Soul Talk at 9 p.m. Eastern time and get caught up on things that's happening in the Star Citizen community. That following week, we will be prepping. We'll make one more announcement next week, but we'll be preparing to go to CitizenCon. There's several people from the Soul Citizens team that are going over. Geo is going, Subvagio is going, Yo-Yo Meg is going, Captain Jones is going, Serious Fun is going, and I am going. So you're going to have representation from our group over there, and we hope that you guys will be able to tune in with us. We are going to do some streams probably in the evening at the end of the day to give you our thoughts about CitizenCon. Fast Card's also going to host a little something on the final presentation on that Sunday, which you guys want to tune in and watch that with him and the crew. And of course, you're invited to come into our Discord and hang out with us. If you don't have an org or a group of friends that you want to hang out with, you don't have to watch it alone. You can join us in the Soul Citizens Discord on that Sunday afternoon or that morning, whatever time it's going to be. But we'll give you more details for that as we get closer and closer to it. Right now, we're going to send you guys over to Paul Shelley. Once again, I want to say thank you to everybody that joined us today. Thank you for your comments, your thoughts, whether you came in and talked to me, whether you put it in the board. Appreciate you. For those who sub, thank you for the subs and all the follows. Don't forget to follow us on our social media, every place where we are. Y'all know we all over the place. And I think that's about it. Till then, stay safe. Enjoy. For those of you in Wave 1, Wave 1, 3.2.4.2. Make sure you get your comments in. Have fun with the game. Have a great weekend, guys. As always, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you soon.